Welcome to the new and improved show that me and Gabe are doing. We're calling it Drunk Amateurs now, instead of the Day Drunk Show.
Speaking of, I should drink.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm at work right now doing this, so I cannot drink.
That's quitter talk.
I'm pretty sure I'd be committing a crime if I did. So yeah, if you listen to our old show, the Day Drunk Show, it's basically the same show, just different title, but most episodes will both be drinking and talking about whatever we want to talk about.
We're eventually going to parlay it into a porn company at this point.
Yeah, for sure. Be drunk amateur porn stars starring Nick and Gabe, and only Nick and Gabe. But for now, all it is us getting drunk and talking about whatever's going on in the world or whatever else we want to talk about.
Yes. My name is John Snow.
I think I covered everything as far as introducing the show. So we will get into what we're going to talk about today.
Time to fuck.
Yes. But no.
You agreed.
So let's talk about the new variant of COVID that's ravaging Africa and some other countries or some other places in the world right now. Places like Israel and I think some European countries, definitely some Asian countries. It's called Omicron, which is a letter in the Greek alphabet, kind of like similar how Delta, Charlie, Alpha is.
The next one is going to be COVID Allspark.
Yes. Or some other Decepticon. I don't really know my Decepticons very well. I was never into Transformers.
What? I watched so much Beast Wars when I was a kid.
I was Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers. And then I just kind of went into normal cartoons after that. And
so
by
not
normal, I mean like Hey Arnold and Doug and all the good shit.
Yeah, I guess that's like what everyone did. I really don't know many other people who watched Beast Wars though.
But it is weird how Omnicore 100% sounds like
it's the Omni.
Decepticon.
What the fuck is it called?
Is there a Decepticon
it's Omni
similar?
Something. No, it's in like one of the movies. It's called like they're fucking looking for the Omni some shit.
No, I don't know. I've only seen the movies like one or two times. But anyway, what's funny about naming it Omnicore was this this variant was next up to be named was Z, which XI, which is the name of the Chinese dictator. Just call him what he is. So it's funny that they skipped that, I guess, because they're afraid to piss off the Chinese for some reason.
Can't upset the Chinese under any circumstance.
But this one looks pretty bad, just like Delta was pretty bad. This one has like the most variations of any of them so far. The vaccines, at least the Pfizer and Moderna, I'm sure that J&J and the rest of them are basically useless unless you just got your vaccine in the last few months. It's basically useless against this variant, unsurprisingly. And it's probably going to be a few months before they get the next vaccine out that is useful against it.
Thank goodness. That's what I want.
I know Biden is issuing a travel ban on certain countries from Africa that have been known to have the variant. But it's pretty much worthless now because it's spread to other places in the world. So unless he just shuts down travel everywhere, it's going to come if it's not already here. That's likely already here, though. But I did see that New York State declared a state of emergency, I'm assuming, um, in preparation for this new variant because their cases and hospitalizations and, well, maybe their cases have gone up, but their hospitalizations and deaths haven't really gone up that much. So um, I'd imagine that's what the new state of emergency set of lockdowns are going to be for, or are for.
Yeah, I mean, dude, they're just fucking East Coast fucking, what's it called? California. I hate anything New York does also, so.
Yeah, New York is, especially New York City, is hands down just terrible. And it's probably almost as bad as LA is, but probably not quite as bad because LA just never reopened at all. Like, it's kind of crazy. You have to show your vaccine passport to get into certain places in LA, and mask requirements have like never been loosened there. COVID has basically made people afraid to live life, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, I really just didn't think like the general population was so willing to just do whatever they were told.
Oh, I did. We've been doing it for years on everything from like 9/11. Right after 9/11, we were willing to go to war in the Middle East and just never stop going to war in the Middle East. We gave up our rights not to be spied on.
Yeah.
People just don't really care. Like, they're so apathetic about what's going on. Other than like me and you were talking yesterday about like the cosmetic, like people care about cosmetics, like saying the right things, but not actually fixing the problem. Just saying they're against the problem, but not having any solutions, or not looking into any solutions or advocating for any solutions other than saying, hey, this is bad, don't do it.
COVID is the devil.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that we're at this point now where half the country is just completely ready to be done with COVID, and the other half of the country is just petrified of COVID.
That's kind of how it seems in the Netherlands. They've begun rioting, which, I mean, eventually I feel like most countries are going to get to that point.
I mean, a lot of countries are. I mean, Australia's had protests and rioting. The Netherlands, I know France has for a while. I even saw some in Italy and Rome.
Hell yeah.
They were starting fires and rioting. And I think some people are just so sick of it, and so sick of everybody else being so scared of a disease that unless you're immunocompromised, super fat, or over the age of 65.
Smoking had been like another key thing. Yeah. Like, it was like obviously harder on smokers.
Yeah, it's funny to me that these easy fixes, so if you just exercised and stop smoking and doing other things to damage your body, you could do those things and you would be safe from COVID, or relatively safe from COVID. Or you could pretend like a mask is doing something to stop COVID and continue living a terrible lifestyle and get sick with it and die anyway. So
right,
there's easy fixes. You just have to change your destructive habits, but people aren't willing to do that. They're willing to lock down the whole country for everybody else, but
yeah, God forbid you tell a bunch of people that being fat is like unhealthy, rather than just shut down travel.
Yeah, it's insane.
That's way more feasible. I'd much rather not fucking travel or go to the grocery store.
And it's getting to the point where like I'm almost sick of talking about COVID. Like, I just want to live somewhere like Texas or Florida, which right now I live in Illinois. Just live somewhere where people have gotten on with their lives for the most part. Like, it's insane to me. I saw a video today of a guy who he was shopping with his daughter. I'm not sure how old his daughter was, but in the video, he kept calling her a minor. So definitely under the age of 18, but I think she was younger than that. Anyway, she this guy in a mask took a picture of them because they weren't wearing their mask. So the guy started videotaping the guy, or recording with his phone, the guy that took the picture of him, and chasing him through the Walmart and asking him why he was taking pictures of his minor daughter. And this guy was so scared to get within 6 feet of this guy. Like he was running and dodging people, trying to stay at least 6 feet from them. And they like formed like a wall and like several people did. And he wouldn't go through them, even though they were all like 6 feet apart. Like they had to back up and give him like 10 feet of room so that he could leave the store because he was so afraid to get within 6 feet of somebody.
It just seems insane to me.
No, it seems absolutely
And I mean, I guess
insane.
I genuinely view it as just like another way to divide people. That's all it is. If you can convince both groups that the other side is fucking retarded, then it's doing its job.
Yeah, but at the same time, like I wonder how like this guy acted, like the guy that took the picture of the people without a mask to try and go online later and drag them through social media. I wonder how
Right.
people like that lived before, both before COVID and before the internet. Like, why are you taking a picture of a little girl without a mask on to drag her on your social media platform? Which I'm sure that's,
Yeah.
like I said, that's probably what he was going to do. Like, what drives a person to that point, like, of a disease that, yes, has killed a lot of people, but it's not as deadly as, so like I remember Bill Maher on his show, he was doing something about how scared people are of COVID, and they took a poll of Democrats and they asked them what do they think that the rate of hospitalization if you got COVID was. So if you got COVID, what was the likelihood you were going to go into the hospital because of it? And it was like 40% of them said that there was like a 50% chance of going to the hospital if you got COVID. And in reality, it's somewhere between 1 and 5, but probably closer to 1% of the people that get COVID go to the hospital. But they all thought it was if you got it, you had a 50-50 chance of going to the hospital. And that's just insane that people out there believe that it's that deadly because they see the news and the news tells them to be terrified of it. So they are terrified of it.
Yeah, I like, even with seeing it in the news and like, even with like a bunch of stuff happening here, I never felt like it was like my life was at risk ever. I was like, this sucks. Sucks for somebody else, not necessarily for me. It's
Yeah.
very, and now I'm just like super disenfranchised with them. Like, who fucking cares?
Yeah, exactly.
Who fucking cares at all anymore?
But the problem is the people that want to be scared and want to scare everybody of it, they're the ones that are like in power in a lot of places. So
Oh yeah, scaring people is so fucking easy.
They're forcing everybody else to live a lifestyle because they're afraid. And I think they want other people to be afraid so they keep getting elected.
I wonder, yeah, I mean, I just imagine that most of them really aren't that afraid of it. It's
No.
just like such an easy control tool.
You look at like the people that have been caught, like the mayor of Chicago, Gavin Newsom. Getting Nancy Pelosi at the height of it, like at the very beginning, Nancy Pelosi was going into what was supposed to be a closed down hair salon and getting her hair done without a mask on. And you see like these big LA productions and like the Met Gala a few months ago where like everybody attending weren't wearing masks, but like all the help people were. And it's so ridiculous. Like, obviously, these people aren't scared of it because they're going maskless to these places. And I think what it is they've got like this little bit of little taste of power, and they're holding on to it with their life. Like,
right? Like,
because
they found out how easy you could control like the general population. They're like, this is easier than we thought.
And I think that we're going to have to take back that power from them because they're not just going to give it up. We see it at first. You had to wear masks and then you had to wear 2 masks. and then you had to be vaccinated. Now it's looking like you're going to have to be get a booster. And meantime, they're not giving up any of their power. The world's not becoming a safer place. And
Small businesses are dead.
yeah, I saw like a stat, like 70% of businesses, I don't know if this is true, but I remember reading that like 70% of businesses failed in LA because of COVID lockdowns.
I mean, but that's perfect. Now they have to go fucking work at corporations, and now all the money's being funneled right back into like the same 12 corporations that own everything in the US anyway.
Yeah. And then you see like all these people that are supposedly like eat the rich type people that just voted for the Build Back Better that gives a tax break to the rich. And like this is a Democratic bill, like a Democrats, Joe Biden. They're the ones that voted for this bill. They're the ones that are constantly complaining about the rich, but it helps out the rich. And it looks like it's probably going to hurt the middle class. I don't know. But I know it's going to raise taxes on the middle class and lower taxes for the rich. And it's crazy that people are willing to give these type of people the amount of power that they have to rule over them. Like it's almost like they want to be like so submissive to government, and they don't want to have to make decisions on their own. They just want the government to support them and rule over them. And that's crazy to me.
Decision making is scary though. I mean, imagine if you had to decide whether or not you were like healthy enough to go out during a pandemic.
I know,
instead
right?
of like them telling you couldn't. Oh,
yeah. Imagine if you had to make a risk assessment for your own life.
Which statistically, I would be in the category where nothing is going to happen anyway. So really, I'm at no risk anyway.
Yeah, very, very low risk. Just like now kids as young as 5 are going to probably have to be vaccinated before too much long. I'm sure it's going to become mandatory at schools, and that's insane to me. That
yeah, I think that was kind of where like we personally had decided that was like the line is like, look, I have to do it to stay in, so I'm going to. It only made sense because we'd like to continue traveling and being normal people if like me and my wife did. But I think vaccinating my children who have no risk of getting it is just retarded.
Yeah, I think, I know you had to get it, and if boosters become mandatory, you'll have to get those too. But I got the J&J vaccine. I didn't have to, like nothing was forcing me. I didn't have a job that forced me to get it. But I got it. I got really sick from it. Like I had 102-degree fever for like 2 days.
That's what I heard from all the people who got the Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah, I had super bad body aches, and I was like between sweating my ass off and freezing my ass off, like back and forth. And it was a rough 2 days. But I mean, I've been sicker than that from the flu before. But I don't think that I'm going to get any boosters. At my school, you either had to be vaccinated or you have to get weekly tests. And if you don't get the weekly test, they fine you. And I think that if they require boosters before I leave and move somewhere else to a better state, I think I'm just going to say, screw you, fine me if you want to, but I'm not doing either thing. Like I'm tired of it. And as long as people are like willing to comply, nothing's going to change. So I'm just going to stop complying because it's dumb.
Yeah. They've just made it like a requirement for everything though. Like it's such an easy thing to just control at this point. Cause it's like, well, you have to get it. You have no choice other than to get it, or you can't go to school. You can't work. You can't go to the grocery store. I want to say like here, they got like pretty hardcore recently, and they were saying, how did it work? You had to, I think if you're not vaccinated at all, you can't go like anywhere anymore. Like you can't even like mask up and go to the grocery store.
What's really crazy to me is you have to, so my school's policy, like I said, is either get vaccinated or go get tested every week. And I know before the OSHA mandate got overturned by the court, the thing that they were going to do was you either had to be vaccinated or get weekly tests. And the craziest part of that is if you're vaccinated, you can still spread it. So why aren't the people that are vaccinated also having to be tested weekly? And it's because nobody really gives a fuck. They're just trying to control everybody and force them into getting the vaccine to make their lives easier, because Pfizer, Moderna, and J&J are making billions and billions of dollars off of this.
So much money. I would love to make that much money off of something so ridiculous.
And the crazy thing is, I'm not like anti-vax. Like I said, I got the vaccine when it became available to me. I got it early on, as early as I could. I usually get my flu shots. While I was in the military, I got all those vaccinations and penicillin and all that crap.
None of them ever hurt me.
No, and I got the anthrax shot. I got Japanese encephalitis shot. I got smallpox. So it's not like I'm afraid to get vaccinated or I'm anti-vax. I'm pro-vaccine, but I am so anti-mandate that it makes me not want to take boosters. I'd rather get COVID because you get a more robust immune system and robust antibodies from getting COVID, that you're better off getting COVID and living through COVID than you are getting the boosters, especially with all these variants that are changing so fast. I mean, we're already on like the 12th or 13th variant in 18 months. So it's changing almost monthly, and it's actually been more than 18 months now, I guess. But
it's been my whole fucking life, it feels like.
Yeah, I know, right? So it makes no sense to me to comply anymore, unless it's
where's my benefit for doing all of this? Like, when does this all end?
If you're old and immunocompromised, or feel like your risk is increased for some reason, by all means I'm not like saying don't get the vaccine, but I'm definitely saying don't comply. Like I may even
I'm not a doctor or Joe Rogan, so
exactly. And even if I do get the boosters, I'm just not going to tell like my school that, hey, I got the booster, because this is dumb. Like you don't need to know whether or not I got the booster.
I don't know.
I'm just sick of it.
I want to go do stuff. I mean, I do go do stuff anyway. So like, I was just at Christmas markets. Like my wife is currently in Paris. Like there's nothing has stopped. It's just like everything is such a giant pain in the ass to do now.
Yeah, I can't imagine earlier on when everything was locked down over there. I would have hated to be stationed in Europe and not be able to travel.
Yeah, I mean, man, there's people who like got here like right when it began and just have been getting absolutely like shafted, like in terms of like travel availability.
Yeah, I'm glad I left. So yeah, I left in October of 2019, and it hit in February, March of 2020. So I just barely missed it. But I don't know. I'm so COVID fatigued.
That just exhausted. I'd like to do something else now.
Yeah, I hate the fact that there's enough people that are terrified of this disease that it's ruining the lives and the way of life for millions of other people.
I just want to be normal again. I mean, as normal as I usually am.
And I hate this, like Fauci throughout this entire pandemic, he's been saying, if you do this, life's going to be normal. If you do this, life's going to be normal. If you do this, life's going to be normal. And it's like, first of all, we're never going to get 100% of the people to do 100% of the things that you want them to do. So if that's your goal, it's never going to happen. If your goal is 0 COVID cases ever again, that's not going to happen. So at what point do we live normal lives?
I think if I had to guess, you don't. I would like some kind of like finite answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but there's not
like this is what we're looking. This is where we want to be to like.
And if they do give us one, they'll change it as soon as we meet that. Like, I mean, we're at over 60%. I think we're pretty close to 70% of the adult population having at least one COVID shot. So
Really?
yeah, and there's been millions of people that have already got the boosters. So like, at what point do we say enough's enough? And I don't think we'll ever get to that point until enough people change their minds about how willing they are to comply. And my fear
Yeah.
is we're never going to get enough people to change their minds on how willing they are to comply.
Yeah, I mean, just enough people to be like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, okay, so this was my like really, what, I don't know, rebellion thought process. Like, okay, so if you own a small business, just don't close it. I know it's obviously not that easy. Like, they're gonna fine you and like try and shut you down. But then if your community still comes in and still pays and you can still like pay to keep the lights on, like you could just keep going through that. It would just be like a community, which I mean, just goes back to the fact that I think the federal government is useless anyway. But
We need to bring back speakeasies, except for instead of just bars, it's restaurants
yeah,
and
everything.
like hidden underground restaurants.
That, I mean, that actually sounds like a pretty cool idea.
But I do think that it's I mean, it's like COVID restrictions have pretty much radicalized me. Like, I hate what this country is becoming. And like, I'm not saying like I'm radicalized to the point of violence. Don't get me wrong, but I'm definitely radicalized and to like stop complying and stop supporting, or just stop being apathetic towards the system.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
man, now that you brought that up, I'm trying to fucking open a speakeasy restaurant that's just always open. Just like fucking bar food too. Who gives a fuck?
I can't
Or
imagine.
maybe like a fancy one.
We'll have like Al Capone's, except instead of running alcohol, they're running food. Like, that seems so insane to me, but at the same time, like,
But I'll fucking do it.
100%
Or organized crime entirely based around fucking serving burgers. Just what do you want? I want the number 3 from McDonald's. All right, brother, I got you. Also, like, fucking McDonald's doesn't have to close. This is all giant bullshit.
Well, I mean, most businesses weren't forced to close necessarily. They were forced
but they
to
wouldn't
do
have
things
to be regardless, you know.
But I mean, they were forced to do things that put so much strain on their businesses that they couldn't overcome those barriers that were placed on them. So they had to shut down. And you're literally ruining people's lives. Like, those businesses will never reopen.
Yeah, I mean, any small business that made it through like the first year, like I'm sure that they don't have what it takes to make it through like everything, you know what I mean? Like, you can't, no small business has like that amount of sustainable funds or they wouldn't be a small business.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they would have stopped being a small business long before that point if they could just afford to not have business for years, or to have limited business. I mean, like, I know here there were like barbershops who weren't like open, right, when they weren't supposed to be open, but like the dude was like taking like house calls, which like they also shouldn't have been, weren't supposed to be doing. I wouldn't say shouldn't have been. They should have been doing that. But it's like, what else is that guy gonna do? How else do you expect this person to make money?
What's crazy is like that type of stuff, like, you were forcing people to do the things that made COVID spread faster. Like, you forced them to stay inside with other people in close quarters. Don't go outside and get vitamin D and sunlight and fresh air. Like, be so terrified that you won't be so terrified that you won't leave your house, and the only people that you have contact with are people that are delivery drivers or delivering groceries that have contact with dozens of other people, if not hundreds of other people.
Yeah, I mean, I was like going into work when they're like, yeah, minimize, or on the fucking flights. That was actually one of the funniest things that happened recently. I'm on my flight, right? Sitting right next to people, like literally touching elbows with people. And they're like, yeah, just try and like not get so close to each other. It's like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? What do you mean don't get so close to people? Make your seats bigger, you fucking idiot. This makes no sense.
Yeah. What's crazy to me, speaking of flights and stuff, what's crazy to me is this new travel restrictions don't take place or aren't being enforced or whatever until Monday. Like Biden announced this, I think yesterday or the day
Go
before. I think it
now
was
if you're
yesterday.
gonna go.
But yeah, it's like, so hey, all you people in these countries, if you want to come, you better do it in the next 3 days.
Make it
Why
quick.
not? Like, if you're so terrified of this virus coming from those countries or this variant coming from those countries, why would you not shut down travel immediately? It makes zero sense.
You know, I would think that there's some like background reason, not like a good one. I'm not like not a justifiable one by any means,
Well,
but
I
there's
know,
probably some.
I know when Biden was asked about it, or the White House was asked about it, the response was the medical team said that's what we're going to do. And it's, I mean, I'm no scientist, I'm no doctor, I'm no epidemiologist, but common sense says if you're afraid of these people from these countries bringing the new variant here, you would shut down travel immediately. But I think what they understand and what they know is it's likely already here. Shutting down travel from these countries, if you don't shut down travel from all these other countries that have already got it, it's not going to do anything. So it makes me wonder why they are actually shutting down travel from just these countries. And it just so happens that it's African countries.
Yeah, it seems pretty racist to me.
I remember when Trump shut down travel to China, everybody on the left was like, this is the most racist thing any president has ever done, blah, blah, blah. And now they're doing the exact same thing.
Just, I mean, it's all fucking hypocritical bullshit. They all suck. Sure. They all suck. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of COVID existing.
I am too. But I don't think it's ever going to go away. So.
Yeah, but where do I get to live where they stop caring about it?
Yeah, exactly. My point is,
what country doesn't care about it?
I don't think there's a single country that just, I know Sweden for a while just kind of continued living their life. I guarantee
told me about that.
I guarantee you countries in Europe are probably going about their lives as more normal than what some places in the US are. I mean, if you go to Texas, there's people wearing masks and stuff, but like there's no enforcement from the state doing it. So
yeah, the point is dumb people
move to these states if you can afford it. And if you can't afford it, stop complying. Like just stop doing what the state is telling you to do. And I understand even that's not feasible for some people, but like not everybody's
in that kind
Kyrie
of position.
Irving that can give up $30 million. But
goddamn, do I love him for it?
Yeah, but if you can't afford to do these things, like not comply or move, start doing these things.
Fight the police. Go out and actively start fistfights with police.
I know one of the things that a lot of people on a lot of Republicans or right-leaning people are doing on like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and stuff right now is they're changing their profile pictures to a black background, kind of like how Black Lives Matter did, but it says in white letters, do not comply. And sure, you can virtue signal like that if you want to and try to convince other people to do that. But if you're not willing to do that, like nothing's ever going to change. So say you're not going to comply, but also do not comply.
Yeah, under no circumstances should you give in.
And if a local business is saying, hey, I prefer you wear a mask in my store, I'm not saying don't wear a mask in their store, but if the state is doing it,
small business,
if the state is forcing something on you, don't comply. If the state's forcing you to get a vaccine, if the state is forcing you to wear 20 masks, just stop. Just don't.
Yeah, in that, I mean, the 2 mask thing was just, it had to have been like some kind of joke just to see what they could get people to do.
Well, I remember when that happened, I think it was like CNN or something that Fauci went on and they were like, hey, wouldn't 2 masks be better than 1? And Fauci's, gave his little, we're not recommending that right now. And then like a week later, the CDC recommended people wear 2 masks. It's like, I
That's, do you
wonder
know that
if
wearing
Fauci
2
got this
condoms?
idea. I wonder if Fauci got this idea from CNN, and he was like, he went home and thought about it afterwards and was like,
He's all,
you know what? 2 masks is twice as effective as 1 mask.
Which, I mean, are do the masks do anything? Is there any benefit
I
to
mean,
wearing a mask?
there's science backing up the fact that you're less likely to transmit the virus if you have it, if you're wearing a mask. So if you aren't, if you don't know if you have the virus, it makes sense to wear a mask. And if you want to wear a mask, by all means, wear a mask. But if you're being forced to wear a mask from the state and you don't want to, stop complying. I stopped wearing masks everywhere I go. The only place I wear a mask is school. And that's because if I don't, I get kicked out of school. So my form of not
That's not what we
complying
want.
is to move to a place where I don't have to do that, which is what I'm doing. I'm trying to transfer to Texas or Florida because I'm tired of it.
Yeah,
If it
how
was
is
just
that
a,
going?
if
Are
I
you
could just,
going to San Antonio?
that's my
Or
top, that's my number one choice is San Antonio. But I don't know. We'll see where I get in.
yeah,
I'm applying to San Antonio, Florida, and maybe a few other places. It's also because I'm tired of Illinois. I don't want to live in Illinois, so I'd rather go and do my final year of school somewhere where I want to get a job at afterwards.
yeah, that's a really good point.
But that's part of it. But that's a very small part of it. Like, the number one reason why I'm moving is because I'm tired of the stupid restrictions, COVID restrictions in Illinois.
Is it bad there? I don't know. No one ever, there's no
So,
news about Illinois to the outside world, really.
So luckily I live in a pretty red area, rural area that nobody really cares about wearing masks or anything like that. The only place I'm tired of doing it at is school. And I'm becoming a teacher when I graduate. So I'm going to have to wear it at my full-time job when I become a teacher, which I don't want to do.
You're going to be the sexiest teacher out there.
I'm going to try to be, for sure.
Are you going to wear like really low cut shirts?
Low cut skirts or high
Oh,
cut skirts,
high
I
cut.
guess. Yeah.
Short? We could just say short.
Short skirts is what I'll be wearing.
Golf skirts. Hell yeah.
I will immediately be fired. But
Do you
it's
think
worth
they'd
it.
fire you for wearing a skirt?
I think if I wore a short skirt, yes. If I wore a longer skirt,
What if you wore like a tennis skirt that had like
I feel like
the
most
little thing underneath? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, most schools have like dress codes for teachers, so I could
It
wear a
says no
skirt.
skirts
But
for men. That's
well, no, it's not so much that. It's, I'm sure there's probably length requirements. I mean, if they said no skirts for men, they'd get sued immediately from a transgender activist that doesn't even attend school or doesn't even teach a class there.
someone from a different state.
Yeah, basically. That's another thing. Not just transgender, but that it has become very big. It's not even like the state that is trying to force people to comply. It's like these very small groups of people. We were talking about it with the phrase or term or name or whatever you want to say of Latinx last night, where it's like less than 2% of Latin Americans have ever heard the term Latinx, but they're trying to force everybody to say Latinx. And if you don't say Latinx, you're somehow
Racist.
anti-trans and racist. And it's like, you have maybe like 100 people that want to be called Latinx, and by all means, be respectful and call them Latinx. But I mean, to change an entire language, an entire culture of people because of
the best part is
100
it's a
people.
gendered language. That's
Yeah,
my
exactly.
favorite part. Fucking idiots. Because there are like non-gendered languages. I forget. It's fucking some like Eastern Bloc country that is has like non-gender specific pronouns, which is interesting.
It's
but it's really funny how Google chooses to fucking determine when you Google translate the language. It seems like the translator is like built-in sexist, because based on like what the action is, it chooses the translated name for the pronoun, and it's funny as fuck.
What's crazy to me is filling out applications. And this was this way, or it was this way, like, shoot, almost 3 years ago now, when I was filling out applications when I still lived over there. And one of the, I think a few of the applications actually have said, for your gender, it's a long ass list now. It's not like just male or female. It's like male, female, non-binary. I forget all the other ones, but it's like 6 or 7 long, like things long. And then preferred pronouns is like, the he, him, she, her. But then there's also like Zim, like XIM.
Ooh, can I be called Invader Zim? I would
and
take that.
It's like, what do these things even mean? And how many people out there, I'm sure it's probably larger than what I think it is because the world's weird, but how many people are saying, hey, I prefer that you call me Zim instead of him, or instead of her, call me Zim? What does that mean? Like, what does non-binary mean for that matter? Like, how do you not recognize this? Whatever. By all
Whatever
means,
makes
live
you
your life
happy.
how you want to live it, but like, stop forcing other people, the large majority of people, to conform to your world. Like,
the only thing that I like am really disgruntled in that about is it's like, man, if someone fucks it up and they don't know you, like, get the fuck over it. People fuck people's names up all the time because you just don't fucking know how someone pronounces their name. Get over it. If someone, like, I don't know, whatever. I'd put in the effort if someone is like, hey, I'd prefer to be called he or whatever. But if I fuck it up, you know what? Fuck you. I gave it a shot.
yeah. And it feels like our culture is just like eroding into, it's not like becoming better, like how these people want a better culture, but they're not making it better. They're making it far worse because they're making people fight constantly over things that don't mean a damn thing. Like, it doesn't matter if you force everybody in this world to call you non-binary. Like,
yeah, that really doesn't change anything.
So all you're doing is causing people to fight over stupid shit that's not going to make your life better. It's not going to make my life better.
Divide.
I think it is. Yeah. I think people feel very good about being able to virtue signal. Like, it makes people feel like they're accomplishing something with very minimal effort. Like, if you don't call me Zim, you're a terrible person. I'm going to ruin your life by putting a video of you on Twitter or a photo of you on Twitter and get 200 people to try to cancel you, and hope that somehow it succeeds in getting you fired from your job because you don't deserve a job.
Yeah, don't come to the school that you fucking donate all your money to. God forbid.
Yeah, like Dave Chappelle recently went to his school and got booed, and several kids started calling him a terrible person. And then there were the people that were so afraid to support him that they just stayed silent. I'm sure there were people like that. And then there were the people...
Imagine being like, guys, what about like freedom of speech? And then you get a bunch of like fucking drama nerds at his fucking drama nerd school, like yelling at you.
Well, and then
never mind, I'm sorry.
I saw like a few parents and kids not want to be named that spoke out against them. And they didn't want to be named because they were afraid that people were going to, dox them and stuff. And that's the world that we live in. And it's both sides doing it. But I do think it's majority on the left, and the majority of the left started this process of doxing normal people, like not just the Dave Chappelles of the world, but just normal everyday people. They're trying to literally ruin their lives, and they're doing it because the cause that they believe in, whatever it be, trans rights, racism, whatever it is, they're being told they're a good person just for telling other people that they're bad people.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what's going on.
And that is the world that we live in today.
I'm just so unsure as to like why anyone cares that much.
No,
Like the opinions of other people just seem so, I mean, who fucking cares?
I think it's along the same process of I think it probably functions in your brain like the chemicals and endorphins released from a person liking your post is probably that same process is probably going on when you virtue signal and say, hey, this is a bad person, and you get 200 other people to say, yeah, you're right.
I put a French flag over my profile picture. I'm helping out Notre Dame. No, you're fucking not, you idiot.
Yeah.
You're doing nothing.
That's one of my favorite things. Like I'm doing this to create awareness, but the thing that you're creating awareness of, everybody is already aware of.
Your awareness means nothing to me.
It's the same thing with the little cancer ribbons, like the pink breast cancer and the yellow regular cancer. And I think there's like a blue one for prostate cancer. And it's like,
it should be like the prostate cancer one should be like those foam gloves, but just with like one big finger. That's what I would sell. I
think my favorite thing that people do that is like a big virtue signal, like I'm a good person, I'm a good citizen, is the I voted stickers. And if you tell a person that got an I voted sticker and they're super proud of it, if you tell them how stupid that is, they get pissed.
You know, voting.
I don't know why. I don't know why people get so pissed off if you point out I guess they're so proud of themselves for doing this thing that's super easy to do. That takes, I mean, in bigger cities, you know, people stand in line for hours, but like you're doing a very basic thing. Like you're not a special person because you voted today. You're not
the only people they don't let vote is felons. So realistically,
yeah, as long as you're between the ages of 18 and dead and not a felon, you can vote.
And dead. That's a good distinction.
And sometimes when you're dead, you can still vote somehow.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's the entire premise of Tommy Boy. Or is it Black Sheep?
One of them. Black Sheep, I think. So yeah, the world is stupid. We live in stupid times, and I'm ready to stop living in stupid times. And I wish more people were willing to
also not be stupid.
Living. Yeah, just
could you fucking imagine?
And it's gotten to the point where just it goes along with, like, people say it's not enough to be it's not enough just not to be racist. You have to be anti-racist. Well, it's not enough to just,
what does that even mean?
I know, but it's the same thing though. It's not enough to just not be stupid. It's getting to the point where you have to call stupid people out for being stupid, which is usually fun. And I do think people have a point whenever they say things like it's not enough to just not be racist. You have to be anti-racist. What they mean is if you see somebody being racist, it's not enough just to not participate. It would be like saying I'm against bullying, but never stop like stepping in when you see bullying, or I'm against sexual assault, but letting a sexual assault go on in front of you. Now it's to the point where people are so stupid and forcing other people to live in stupid ways that you're going to have to actively say, hey, that is stupid. I'm not doing what you're doing because that's stupid. And I'm telling you to stop doing it because it's stupid. But that's, like I said, that's the world that we live in. Hopefully more people are willing to. I have no faith. I have no faith, and that's exactly why we just want to live out in the country, which I've never done before, but I definitely don't want to live in a city full of retards. Yeah, I mean, I live in a, even now that I'm going to college, like I purposely chose a smaller college so that I wouldn't have to, like, I can't imagine what it's like living in a city right now, like Chicago or LA or New York. But living in Chicago anytime sounds terrible. So especially now. And that's one of the reasons why San Antonio is at the top of my list, because I'd like to go to a bigger school for my last year, but not like a
Yeah.
giant school in a giant city. Because I thought about Austin, but for one, it's expensive, and two, it's becoming a bigger town because of all the stupid California people moving there and ruining it, like they ruined California,
Yeah,
especially
which
LA.
it just seems like it's so easy for them to ruin everything. I don't understand. How can all you people afford to leave there and ruin somewhere else?
I wish I wish we had
I
Dre
want it
here
to end.
so we could talk about how terrible LA is since he lives there, but maybe we'll do that on a different episode when he's able to join us.
It made me so happy to hear him say that he hates LA. I was like, oh, thank fucking God. I thought we'd lost him. I
Yeah,
thought we'd lost him.
I feel like Dre's one of those people that would still love LA even though it's a terrible place.
We lucked out. We lucked out. He does not love it. We can still talk to him and be friends.
The craziest people are the people that still insist LA is a marvelous place to live, even though it's a giant hellhole of a place to live. Like Seth Rogen recently on Twitter was responding to a guy that got his car broken into, and he said the guy that got his car broken into called LA a like a shitty place or a shithole or something like that. And Seth Rogen was like, "Hey, I live in LA. It's not a shithole. I've had my car broken into." And then in like another tweet, they went back and forth. And in like the next tweet, he's like, "Well, I've lived here for 20 years and I've had my car broken into 15 times. And one of those times they even left me a present, and it was a knife." And I'm like, dude, you're saying that you live in a place where on average your car is getting broken into 15 times. And one of those time, or I mean, your car's getting broken into every 15 months in those 20 years. And one of those 15 times, they left a knife, which God knows what they've done with that knife,
Yeah,
in
a
your
murder
vehicle.
weapon.
Yeah. And it's called champagne socialism, like this idea of like these places are really good, but they're only really good for the really rich or the
Right.
really well off. They're not good for normal people. And their policies that they make are just making it even worse for these people, which is why you see dozens and tens of thousands of people leaving California to places like Colorado and Texas and Arizona.
Yeah, and they've ruined Colorado. It's gone. It's done. I don't ever want to go back there.
Yeah, I saw
which
Denver.
I never thought I would say.
Denver just put their mask mandates where you have to have a mask on everywhere you go. They just started that back up last week sometime, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So you have these people that are just ruining, coming from a terrible state that they ruined and trying to ruin these other places. And it sucks.
They're ruining my state. It's the fucking worst.
It's one of the reasons why I'm trying to move to Texas, because I want to counteract that. You know, I want to be the change.
Want to unruin a state. I don't think I could bring enough people to Colorado to unruin it at this point.
Yeah, you probably couldn't.
There's just no fucking hope left anymore. And I mean, whatever. I guess like realistically, I don't want to live in a city anyway, so it doesn't matter all that much. I just want to do hood rat shit with my friends, you know?
Yeah, I lived in Las Vegas for 2 years, but I grew up in a small town. Never lived in other than the 2 years in Vegas, I never lived in a town that had more than, well, what's Uden have, like 40,000?
No, there's no way.
You don't think it's that many?
No.
It's a fairly good sized town. I bet you it's probably pretty close to, it's definitely over 30,000. Dude, Buchel was like 2,000 people. And that surprised me when I learned that.
Yeah, I think mine is like somewhere between 2 and 6. I can't remember, to be honest. I know I looked it up one time because it was way bigger than I thought it was.
I'll look up Uden real quick because I'm pretty sure it's a bigger town. 41,000, almost 42,000 as of January of 2019. So unless COVID there killed a bunch of people, it's around 40,000.
Yeah, I mean, based on what CNN says, like half of the population is dead.
But we are going to have to end the episode here because I have
Someone
work
has
to
a
do.
job.
Yeah, I know, crazy. So we will leave you. Thank you for listening if you're listening. If not, screw you. Nobody likes you.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for listening. We're going to try and do weekly episodes like we were with the Day Drunk Show until we stop doing them because we got lazy. And it's hard to do a podcast when you're 7-hour time difference and you live in different, not only a different country, but a different continent. But we'll try and have other people on besides just me and Gabe. Definitely our friends, Jarrett and
people with
Dre.
different opinions besides the two of us.
Yeah, hopefully our agreement on almost everything that we talk about isn't too annoying and you still enjoy the episode. But yeah, we will talk to you next time.
Goodbye. Oh yeah, don't air your butthole.